I am ready.
All right, let's call to order our June 14th education meeting. Where would you like to take roll?
Yep, Mrs. Berger.
Here.
Dr. Savignano.
Here.
Ms. Stricker.
Here.
Reverend Willis.
Here.
Any public comment?
Nope.
All right, we're going to get into this paragraph of her. But first, we do want to recognize that this will be Reverend Willis's last meeting tonight, and also Ray Wise will be retiring.
No.
Acknowledge that up front before we get into it. So,
Thank you.
thank you for all that you've done, Ray. Appreciate it, and in return, we appreciate your service as well.
Thank you.
Okay, on to business. Discussion and action agenda. Item A, Spanish teacher position for high school. So is there a motion to approve that position?
I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve a Spanish teacher position for the high school.
I'll second it.
The high school, based on enrollment, is qualified for another teacher. SBDM has identified and made the request for that to be labeled as Spanish. So it's just an allocation change. Because we've given you the May 1 allocation, any change to that, you have to make an approved vote. Any other questions?
So is that another full-time?
Another full-time, and actually they had qualified before, but weren't really sure on how, especially since we were adding the counseling position, the lead counseling position. But then request, I think there are about 3 full classes and request above a full-time teacher. So they feel like that's their best request for moving forward. Is that, did I relay that correct?
Yeah, it's fairly based on student requests, the amount of requests for Spanish courses.
So we have more.
Normal case of teacher, 4 classes over. So, that along with the support that the whole period that one of those Spanish teachers.
And just so you know, some of that's new growth, but a lot of it is outgoing senior classes of around 108, incoming classes between 120 and 135. So that was that big group that moved through the elementary, and that's what caused some of the elementary drops, along with some of the high school gains. Any other questions?
No.
All right.
Mrs. Berger.
Yes.
Dr. Savignano.
Yes.
Ms. Stricker.
Yes.
Reverend Willis.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. On to, okay, on to our next item. I think that one's after. Item B, support service position for elementary. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve the support services position for the elementary school.
Second.
And just so everybody's aware, this is actually not a new position. We added it last year during COVID, before the start of the year. But you all gave me some flexibility to make staffing changes as we went along, and it was actually a full-time sub. We're just coming in and cleaning that up by making it a position that moves on. It is not a full-time, this is not a certified position. So I just want to clarify that this is not a teaching position. And
This was the one that was that kind of was the overflow.
yes, we had 2 overflow rooms. One was upstairs in the science, and one was in the gym. This was the full-time position that was in the gym. You may see me come back and ask for another full-time sub. If we can get people locked in every day for the year, and we never go a day without somebody absent, it just locks someone in and gives us a little bit more stability, because right now subs, classified workers, part-time workers are really difficult to find.
So if I really most of that, keep us from, after so many days, they have to
That is correct. Yeah, if you don't want that, yes, that is correct.
Any other questions?
No.
Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Dr. Savignano?
Yes.
Ms. Stricker?
Yes.
Reverend Willis?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries on to item C, which is our insurance renewal. Take a motion to approve the quote from the mutual PPE and RPS.
I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve the insurance quotes from Liberty Mutual, KEMI, and RPS Access.
Second.
All right, you have the bid page in front of you. You know, there's nothing, you know, to point out, other than one thing that we have been discussing is we do have the cybersecurity insurance, which I think is an absolute must anymore. But for $1,334, there is a terrorism clause. I've tried to find out exactly what details, you know, what quantifies as terrorism. Ray, do you have?
Well, first, the state government would have to declare the act an act of terrorism
Yeah.
for it to cover. And then it would kick in just like our property insurance. It would cover our property damage, student injuries, things like that.
You know, so I mean,
It wouldn't be covered by our regular policy if it was considered terrorism?
well, right now we don't have a terrorism clause. I mean, we're not in an urban core, but at the same time, you know, it's a pretty small cost. Most of ours would be, I mean, like, you know, worst case scenario, that is not the one thing that I worry about. You know, but at the same time, it has been something we've kicked around. I just wanted to make sure I highlighted that to you guys, that if that is something that we want to pick up in the future, it would require a change to what you're voting on tonight.
Is there a way that we can get a little bit more information on the terrorism clause?
We can get more information, and you can pick it up next month if you want to do that.
The one thing I would like to know that I didn't get a straight, clear answer is what I mean, you know, terrorism is a very, very specific and narrow little window. The one question I had would domestic terrorism versus a hate crime, and I think if domestic terrorism is included, then I'm a little bit more interested. But that's such a narrow window that I don't want to, even at $1,300 a year, I don't want to put the expense out. You know, if it's international, no.
That's not worth it, right?
So we should approve it like it is now, and then
I would. That's my recommendation, is to approve it now. Get more clarifying information on the terrorism. You can always come back and add it at a later date or pass on it, but at least you're going ahead in June and had everything with your insurance on July 1 that we desperately need.
but it's not like a one-time, that's my question, no, a one-time.
No.
we can do it.
You can add this anytime.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions?
All right, Mrs. Berger?
No,
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
clear. You're okay.
Mrs. Berger? Dr. Savignano?
Yes.
Ms. Stricker? Reverend
Yes.
Willis?
Yes.
On to item B, which is the updated policies and procedures, is the first reading. So, we're not going to vote on that tonight, but, does anyone have any questions? Other than there was one part on there, the Beechwood at Fort Mitchell, Kentucky, part of Kenton County.
Yeah, I missed one, and I know we haven't taken a vote to approve, but I would like to amend.
Well, it's a first reading. So
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right, fair. All right, so go ahead and make, and then I'll say what I want to.
So on the, 01.1, Lori, it should say Board of Education of Beechwood Independent School District of Fort Mitchell, Kentucky, not Kenton County.
Okay.
I think it's a much cleaner, because Kenton County is also a school system. I think it's cleaner to say the Fort Mitchell,
What's the number,
Kentucky.
01.1?
It's the very first
Okay.
page, 01.1.
Okay.
And, item number 3, the board shall be known as the Beechwood, Board of Education of Beechwood Independent School District of Kenton County, Kentucky. We want to say of Fort Mitchell, Kentucky, just to make sure there's not a,
And if there's any other changes before next month,
or if you have any questions. I mean, there are a few changes. I don't think there's anything because of COVID. I don't think there's anything dramatic, but if you have any questions as you're reviewing them, don't hesitate to get a hold of Brian or myself, either one. There was one change on investments that we actually ran down the rabbit hole, but it wasn't really it wasn't what I thought it was. So if you get stuck on that one or think it might be an option for us, you can just go ahead and check it off because it really didn't do anything for us.
and then we also have another, first reading, which is item E, the updated tuition policy and procedure.
And that was, you increased tuition cost by $200. So then we had to go back and clean up our tuition policy. We also added in our procedure that if any student was not asked to return, any tuition student was not asked to return, that we had to have a formalized meeting ahead of time with the parents to give them an opportunity to correct the problem before we moved. You know, we all agreed that every parent should have the opportunity to work through a problem and correct it before the close of the school year. And those were the two major changes.
Okay, on to item F, which is the trauma-informed care agreement. We have the motion to approve the trauma.
I vote to, no, I'm not, words are coming to me, sorry. I move to approve the trauma-informed care plan.
Uh-huh.
Man,
Sentences.
man, you transitioning out the wrong
I
quick.
know. I'm moving to an English-speaking country.
Second.
Do you want to?
Yeah, so a part of the state requirements from the legislature out of the last session was that every district was supposed to have a trauma-informed care plan moving forward. We already had, as you all know, we had put in the SEL team in place. So with some minor tweaks, we were able to go ahead and move forward and check off the state requirements with merging that SEL into a trauma team as well. There were 5 domains that we were supposed to check off, and you'll see on page 2 and page 3 exactly the elements that we'll be doing under all 5 domains. I think it's good, but we already had a district safety committee. We already had district policies and code of conducts that we didn't have to change. We already had an SEL team. So everything that they're trying to really attack after COVID, we feel like we already had in place. But due to the requirement, you see those 5 elements, and you have to approve those.
And it wasn't okay to incorporate into the safety plan, they wanted a whole new.
It was a requirement that you had to write a whole new plan, and it had to have these 5 domains and action items attached. We were lucky that we already had most of the action items, but you still have to approve this document regardless of the fact that we had some of that in place.
Anyone have any additional questions?
No.
And the one that a lot of people are struggling with, number 5, the 250 to 1 ratio. But I mean, we are really,
Under that.
yeah, I mean, we're right, 1,500, 5 counselors. I mean, we're right on it. So I don't know how some places are even going to
You're talking about other districts.
other districts. Yes, other districts. So I appreciate, I think that was a good move with CARES money. We'll see how it continues.
Ready? Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Dr. Savignano?
Yes.
Ms. Stricker?
Yes.
Reverend Willis?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. To item G, which is, resignation of Reverend Anissa Motion to accept resignation.
I'll make the motion to accept the resignation of Reverend Anissa Willis from the Beechwood Board of Education upon the conclusion of this meeting.
I'll second.
I would just like to add, any time that somebody takes the risk of putting their name on a ballot, it should be celebrated. Not only did Anissa put her name on the ballot, but she served several years of a term. We're grateful for that time. We're grateful for, I consider this one of the largest volunteer positions in the entire state of Kentucky. So I, number one, appreciate your service. Number two, your volunteer time, because you don't get paid. And number three, I wish you absolutely well back closer to home.
Thank you all. It's been an honor to serve with you all. And it'll be fun to watch the unfolding of the new building and everything else from a little bit of a distance. But it's going to be great. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
We will make sure the planning committee sends you an invite for that grand opening, because that vote that you made was definitely the reason why we're able to move forward.
It's been great to be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we do, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. And we do a small, it's nothing, but something that,
Dare I open it?
yeah, no, please. No, it's not. It's just a small reminder, nothing over the top.
Oh, that's awesome. The tiger.
They're very nice. Yes, thank you. They are nice.
Kind of our go-to, so much appreciated.
Thank you all.
All right.
Huh? Well,
We need to vote? We need to vote.
Yes.
Yeah, Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Dr. Savignano?
Yes.
Ms. Stricker?
Yes.
Reverend Willis?
Yes.
Okay, now on to item H, which is finance reviewer.
I move for Noreen Sullivan to become the check reviewer due to the resignation of Anissa Willis.
I second that.
And Noreen's not here? Okay.
It's gonna be an answer.
No discussion?
No
She
discussion.
does know. She's probably listening, so.
I did. We did make sure
Mrs.
she's no. Although it would have probably happened anyway, with her not being here.
That's how it works.
That's how it works.
Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Dr. Savignano?
Yes.
Ms. Stricker?
Yes.
Reverend Willis?
Yes.
Motion carries. Maureen will be the check reviewer. Okay, on to consent agenda. Take a motion to approve the consent agenda as is, unless there's any changes.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as is.
I'll second that.
Just a couple of things, and most everything on the, we did have one odd Ironworks Studios, a
Yeah,
former.
what is that?
A former alum was shooting a portion of a movie and wanted to use the facility. So it's actually, I wanted to apologize ahead of time. It's actually reverse order, which we rarely do. But I went ahead and approved it because of the alum and the fact he had all his things checked off that we require. They were here on Sunday. I spent a little time with them. It was quite the production. So I learned a lot of things about how to set up for a real movie shoot. Let's just say the Commons did not look like the Commons. So it was in the Commons. They had it completely redone. They were in, they cleaned up, and they had it out. And it was a nice day. So that is, and I did make that approval. And I apologize, but because it was an alum, and they had all the things checked off. I went ahead. MOU with Kent County, again, that is for transportation. They do our maintenance, and we sometimes rent buses from them. MOU with Thomas More. I think we've already approved the one with Northern. Handbooks, and then fees for the high school and elementary. And marching band, again, are going to have a couple of long trips coming up. I won't announce, I'll let them do that, but this one, the first one is going to be to Florida, Disney, March of 2022. I think the kids really enjoyed it.
Any other questions on the consent agenda?
No.
You ready, Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Dr. Savignano?
Yes.
Ms. Stricker?
Yes.
Reverend Willis?
Yes.
Motion carries. And just to let you know, Maureen actually said, I agree. She is listening, so hold on, Maureen. All right, on to our information portion, which is the superintendent's report.
So I don't want to go into too much detail tonight. I mean, it's summer, but I would like to give you a couple of updates on the facility projects. The backside of phase one will obviously start taking shape very quickly. Foundations have been poured. They're doing a couple of tweaks today and this week, and then you'll start seeing some movement coming up out of the ground. But I really want to focus on a potential work session, and I rarely call a work session, but I would like, because we're really going to try to move as fast as we possibly can with the phase 2 BG1 and all the way up to BG3 because of interest rates and timeline and locking in cost. I would really like to have a work session to be able to go over some of those plans that we haven't really officially discussed. So I've been working with our architect and our construction management firm to kind of put more finishing touches on those add-ons that we've discussed. I would like to show you plans and renderings and kind of finalize that before we put that out to the planning committee and the public. So, that, and again, I do think that we need to look at that. Campus is going to be pretty messed up. 22, 23. All right, we know that's going to be a pretty, we're going to have a lot of inconveniences. But while those inconveniences are there, I'm still going to ask that we try to touch base and finish off some of those needs that we've discussed the last time we toured the campus. It'll add more inconveniences, but it'll move the project and complete the things that you need done without having to come back and do it at a later time.
And I'm sorry, are you recommending that for 22, 23, or after that?
That it would go into phase 2. We would do those add-ons into phase 2. However, I can't get price projections until you all look at plans and renderings and give feedback. Then we can finalize that, move it on into another meeting with the planning committee, get their input, and then we can firm up our total cost. I would really like either a board retreat or have a work session in July. I think we have labeled board retreat as July the 6th. So I mean, I'd be more than happy to bring it to board retreat. It would just be a new item that we haven't discussed.
When do you think that this one will finish? Will it be done prior to?
All the plans are done and the renderings are probably 50%. I think I'll have them by the end of the week.
You said until prior to.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll plan on that on 7/6.
All right, I'll add it on to the
fine.
retreat agenda.
That's fine.
Does that still work for everybody? 7:06?
Is it 10 o'clock? What time is it?
9 o'clock, I think we had talked about 9 or 10 o'clock, and then having lunch and trying to finish up in the afternoon.
Okay.
And we discussed the other topics, but if you have anything that you want to add, please send that to me or Lori. I will be leaving. I will have some interruption time there, but Lori or myself or Brian or just get it to one of us if you have other topics that we haven't discussed. I'll have that agenda for you ahead of time as well. No, that's all. I'm calling it quits because Miss Reed's statement about how long the meeting was going to take.
Ray, would you like to add anything about the finance report for tonight or for forever?
No, I would just say thank you to the board. It's been a great 20 years, ups and downs, and it's a crazy ride, but I think you're in good hands. Christy's going to do a great job for you. I just thank you.
Thank you.
I'll still call you next month.
We're all gonna call her next month.
Or I'll be calling you, because they call me. I know.
Take a motion to make the agenda part of the official board meeting.
I'll move to make the agenda part of the official board minutes.
I'll second it.
Mrs. Berger?
Yes.
Dr. Savignano?
Yes.
Ms. Stricker?
Yes.
Reverend Willis?
Is there any other new business? Ron?
Nothing on my end.
No?
Nope.
Lisa?
No?
Like your last name?
I know. Well, people have asked me about the process to replace.
It will be, like tomorrow, it'll be.
Yeah,
should contact me.
I'll if you give me a chance, you want me to do that now?
Well,
Since
I guess so.
Okay, so the process for applying for Reverend Willis's replacement, you need to email, and again, this will go out in the Inquirer run. I think we're actually running it for the full 30 days. I think it just had to be twice, but we're running it in the Inquirer. We're also putting it out on Facebook tomorrow. And that'll have some of the steps in, but basically, if you have interest, then you have to contact either myself and or Lori Reed, and Ms. Reed has to send you the application. That application has to be filled out and submitted within the 30-day parameter, at which the clock will start tonight, but we won't officially start it until tomorrow, since that's when the public announcement's going out. It'll run for 30 days. Upon that time, we will review the applications and then bring those to the board. The board has another limited time to pick a replacement. We're going to speed that up really quick. We're going to do our replacement announcement. I think it's the 25th of July, which will be well under the 60-day limit. Part of the reason is we want that to be put into place prior to August 1st because we have a lot of things happening in August with the start of school. So if you or anyone you know is interested in applying for the board position, it's a contact to me and Lori, and Lori must send you, like we have to be able to track, Lori has to send you the application.
Cool.
Any other,
No, I think that was exactly what I agreed on.
okay.
Cool.
Jeremy has something to add to that.
Have to live in, you have to meet the minimum qualifications.
The application's like 4 pages long. It's
Yeah.
pretty extensive. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same application of filing for office. So I mean, it's pretty detailed. And then it goes to the county clerk has to check off, and we have to do that within that time frame. But we feel very confident we can get that done before that special meeting to appoint on July the 25th. Is it 25th? Is that the
I think
Monday?
it's the 26th.
26th.
I think so.
And anybody that has interest and wants to reach out to ask specific questions, you know, I'm pretty available.
And, I mean, I would reach out to Dr. Stacy first, and if you want to ask questions to, you know, one of us, or if you can get a hold of, you know, contact by us. Any other business? We do have a couple, like, baseball went to, what is it called, semi-state?
Yeah. I mean, it's state finals, right? 16 teams. We drew number 2, Danville. Really feel like we, you know, played with them, if not outplayed them, but they had a good team. I mean, I think them and Trinity, but not bad for a bunch of pups. I mean, really a young team, so that was exciting.
And then we had track and field, except I haven't seen everything.
I know we had a couple of state champions, right? One. Yeah, that was great. Softball made it to the region.
Since we asked Richard's been around, so that's good too. Anything else that happened?
Awesome.
Oh, Grandsteiner, Gabe.
Wow. That's awesome.
So a lot of great things going on, even though we're still here in the summer, and with COVID, everything's been pushed back a little bit, but all good. Okay, anything else? You think of anything? Okay. Well. Okay, take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second. Oh, wait,
That was short and sweet.
Mrs. Berger, Dr. Samiano.
Yes.
Ms. Stricker.
Yes.
Reverend Willis.
Yes.